Okay, so for our Unit 1, Semester 1 test prep, here are some of the problems that you'll face. So it says here 9.4 plus something is a negative number. So we know that this must be more than 9.4. Actually, its opposite would be 9.4, but we need something more than that, or less than that, you could think of, more negative. So we need 9.5 or less. So which number will make this equation true? Circle yes or no. Okay, this is not going to work. Wait, will this work if I put this in there? Yeah, it'll work. It'll make it a negative number because there's more negative. How about this one? No, that's not going to work. How about 9.4? No, because that will just make it more positive. About negative 3.4 is no. Negative 12.1, of course, yeah, that's going to make it more negative if you plug it in there. So that's a yes. How about negative 9.4? That would make it 0. And 0 is not a negative number. Negative 8.7? No, that's not enough. So only these two will give you enough negative so that the answer is negative. Okay, go to the left. So all we have to do is simplify these. Excuse me just a minute. Thank you. Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to take the big one minus the little one. 10 minus 3, that's 7. Positive, there's more positive. 5 minus 2, that's 3. There's more positive. Okay, these are both negative, so I'll just add them up. I know my answer is negative. 9 and 9 is 18. Let's see, I have different signs. This is negative, that's positive, so I'll subtract. 12 take away 4 is 8. And there's more negative. It's negative 8. Here's our double negative. You could add the opposite. And 8 and 8, 16. This one right here, notice I have two negative numbers. You have negative 6 and negative 4. That's negative 10. So you have 8 and negative 10. That would just be a negative 2. Because there's more negative. 10 negatives, 8 positive. 10 minus 8 is 2, and there's more negative. Next one. Notice I have, that's a negative 3, and that's a negative 5. You could put a plus in there if you want to. Sneak one in there. That's okay, you can do that. So let's see. That makes 8 negatives. So I have 11 minus 8, or 11 and negative 8. 11 take away 8 is 3, and there's more positive. Okay, let's go back up to the top. Okay, if you want to put a positive in there saying and negative 7, you can do that. But either way, they're both negative. Just add them up. 3 and 7 is 10. It's negative 10. They don't cancel. They're not canceling unless you're multiplying. Okay, oh, here's our double negative. So I have 15 and 2. There's more negative. My answer is negative. So 15 take away 2 is 13. Next one, I see that there's more. They're both negative. Okay, that's like saying and negative 2. So my answer is negative. I just counted up. 9 negatives and 2 negatives makes 11 negatives. Now here, I have, this is a negative, and this is a positive. There's more negative, so my answer is negative. I'll just subtract. 14 take away 3 is 11. And there's more negative, negative 11. Next one, oh, hey, these are 0 pairs. 12 and negative 12, that makes 0. Next one, this one's negative, and this is positive. There's more positive, so my answer is positive. All I have to do is subtract. 14 take away 9 is 5. And there's more positive, so it's positive. Okay, here's a double negative. So you just add the opposite. Additive inverse. And notice that I have negative 2 and negative 4. That's 6 negatives. 7 positives and 6 negatives. There's more positives. My answer is positive. 7 take away 6 is 1. Okay, next problem. A little bit larger. Okay, what I meant to say is a little bit longer. So let's see our negatives. Well, first of all, I'm going to go through and I see a double negative right there. So add the opposite, additive inverse, make it a big plus. And here's another one right over here. That's now a positive 9. That's a positive 8. All right, I'm going to put all my negatives together. So I have negative 5, negative 3, negative 3, negative 2, negative 2, and that's it. That's all my negatives. Now, if you put all those negatives together, count it all up. Let's see how many you have. Let's see. There's 8. 8 and 4 makes 12. 13, 14, 15. 15. There's 15 negatives. Okay, I'm just going to write that to the side here. We have 15 negatives. And how much positives do we have? 8 and 9. And 17 positives. So can you see that we have more positives than negatives? The answer is positive. Just subtract. 17 take away 15 is 2. So the answer is 2. There's 2 more positives than there are negatives. Okay, now we go to multiplying. Remember the rules. If there's 2 negatives, they cancel. If there's 1, it's just negative. Okay, first of all, notice the 2. I'll multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. I'll count my negatives. There's 1, 2. Hey, they cancel. 2 cancel. Next one. 5 times 3 is 15. Count my negatives. Oh, 2 of them. 2 of them cancel. Okay. Next one I have 1 times 2 times 3. Well, that's just 6. And there's 1, 2, 3 negatives. Well, 2 cancel. You still got 1 left over. So negative 6. Okay, now let's go on to fractions, adding and subtracting fractions. Remember to always reduce. So let's take a look here. Notice that, first of all, this is pretty darn easy, isn't it? 5 of 5, 6 minus 5, that's just 5. Okay, so I don't think I need to explain anything there. Let's see, 4 sevenths and 5 sevenths. Okay, so that's the same thing as having 4 plus 5 on top, 7 on the bottom. That's 9 sevenths. Need to reduce that. This is where some students get messed up. 7 goes into 9 one time with 2 left over. So 1 and 2 sevenths. Okay, next one. So I have 7 nines and negative 1 ninths. That's 7 and a negative 1 ninths. So 7 minus 1 is 6. And that can be reduced to 2/3. Right? Because 3 goes in there twice and 3 goes in there 3 times. All right, this time I have a double negative. So add the opposite, additive inverse. So now I just have 7 plus 2 over 9. That's 9 over 9. And that's 1. Okay, number 5. Okay, these 2 are negative and that's positive. If you want to, you can put, I'll just rewrite it. So I have a negative 5, a negative 3, and a positive 4. And they're all over 8. Because that's the common denominator here. So I can just add the top numbers, combine the top numbers, the numerators. Okay, so if I combine this, this is negative 8 plus 4. That would make negative 4. Negative 4/8, and that's just 1/2. Negative 1/2. Don't forget the negative. It would be wrong if you did. Okay, the next one, we have 7 and negative 16. So I think I'll write right here. So 7 and negative 16, or 7 minus 16. And let's see, 7 minus, okay, so there's more negative. You know the answer is negative. 16 take away 7 is 9. So 9 twelfths. Hey, wait, that can be reduced because 3 will go into both of those. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 9, I'm sorry, 12, 4 times. And there's one negative, so don't forget about the negative. Number 7. Again, same denominator, so we can just combine the numerators there. So we have negative 3, positive 15, and negative 1, all over 5. So if I add those up, let's see, that's negative 3 and negative 1, that's negative 4, and 15 over 5. And that would make 15 minus 4 is 11 over 5. Is that our answer? No, no, not on this planet. So if you have 11 over 5, sorry for the messiness, that can be reduced. That's improper. Okay, so 5 goes into 11 twice. That's 10 with 1 left over. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 more makes 11. And it's not negative answer because there's more positive on top. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we'll flip it over. Let's do the back side. Okay, so 3.5 minus 9. Okay, there's many ways of doing this. Some people will draw a number line, and they'll start from 3.5, and then they'll count back 9 spaces. But remember, it's going to land on a half, because you're going right in the middle. Okay, another method to do this, if it looks confusing, first of all, 3.5 is 3.5. So you have 3.5 minus 9. Okay, or you could say 9 minus 3, negative 9 plus 3.5. You know the answer is going to be negative. You know that. There's more negative. So let's just take 9 and take away 3.5 to find out how much more negative it is. So I'm going to take 9 and I'm going to subtract 3.5. Okay, so you can forget about the negative now. I know my answer is negative. All right, so notice that I've got to line up the decimals. That's where some students make mistakes. Add a 0. Okay, I'm going to have to borrow. So let's see, this becomes an 8. I'll borrow a 10 there, or 1. Now it's 10 minus 5 is 5. Bring the decimal down. 8 minus 3 is 5. So you can see that your answer is negative 5.5. Okay, so sometimes it may be easier just to make it into decimals. Some people do that all the time. All right, next one. You can see we have a common denominator here, but notice that this is negative. All right, and if it helps you, let's go ahead and I'll rewrite it another way. So if you want to, you could stack them if you wish. Stack them like so. 8 2/5, and this is negative, so that's the same thing as saying minus. Minus 3 3/5. Now notice that I cannot do, my denominator is 5, but I cannot do 2 minus 3. That would give me a negative. I can't do that. So I have to borrow. So let me try this other color here. I'll borrow from here. This is now a 7, and I'm borrowing a great big 1. In other words, I'm borrowing 5/5. So my new top number, numerator, it's times plus, or it's just 5 and 2 makes 7. So now I have 7/5 because I borrowed 5/5. So I have 7/5 minus 3/5. So if I do that, if I take 7 and I subtract 3, 7 minus 3 is 4. So that's 4/5. Okay, so that's a fraction part. 7 minus 3 is 4. So the answer is, again, it's more positive here. It's 4 and 4/5. You could do this many ways. Some people might find this a little more difficult, but this is method I find that works good. Okay, the next one, number 10. 5 minus 8/7. Okay, some people can do this in their heads. Notice that 8/7 could be reduced to, that's actually negative 1 1/7. Okay, so that might be easier to do if you wish. But let's just say that I don't want to do it that way. Let's say I don't know that. And so what I'll do is I'll get a common denominator. Let's see, this right here is 5/1. And so the common denominator I need to get, I have a 1 and a 7, so 7 is what I need. Okay, this is just 8/7. And this, if I multiply 1 times 7 is 7, 5 times 7 is 35. And doesn't that make sense? 7 goes into 35 5 times. All right, so my denominator is 7. And now all I have to do is subtract, because this was a negative. So I take 35 minus 8. And 35 minus 8 is 27. 27. Sorry, lost my mind. 27. So it's 27/7. Hey, that can be reduced. And by the way, it's all positive, right? This is more positive than negative. So this is 27, sorry for the sloppiness, over 7. Okay, let's reduce that. 7 goes into 27 how many times? Well, I know 7 times 3 is 21. And it would take 6 more to make 27. Okay, so that is how we do that. So the answer is 3 6/7. Next one. So I'm going to go ahead and stack these. Now, if you notice, there's more negative than there is positive. Okay, because minus, that means the same thing as adding a negative. Okay, so that's a negative. I know my answer is negative. I don't know how much. So I will subtract this to figure out how much negative. So I will do 5 1/4, and I'm going to subtract 2 5/8. But I know my answer is negative. All right, so my answer is going to be negative. So let's see, I need a common denominator though. I have 8 and 4. Well, they'll both go into 8. And so 4 times 2 is 8, 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so now I can go ahead and subtract. And look, I cannot do that. I cannot do 2 minus 5. Okay, denominator is 8. 2 minus 5. So I'm going to have to borrow. People don't like to borrow. People actually like to borrow. We shouldn't borrow, but we have to in this case. So I'm going to borrow a great big 1. Or I'm going to borrow 8 eighths. So 8 times 1 plus 2 makes, what, 8 and 2 is 10? 10 eighths. So you have 10 eighths minus 5 eighths. 10 minus 5, and that gives us 5. Okay, that's great. Now what about the whole numbers? 4 minus 2 is 2. And we know our answer is negative because we had more negative to begin with. So there's our answer. All right, up to the top. Okay, so some of you could do this right away looking at it. Let me just pause for a second. Now, you could look at this different. Notice you have more positive than negative, and they already have the common denominators. You have 7 and 7/9. Did you know that this is the same thing as saying 7 plus 7/9? 7 and 7/9. 7 wholes, and then 7/9 of a whole. And we want to take away 3/9. Okay, so if I take away 3/9, isn't that just going to give me, well, let's see, this one right here. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4/9. And you still have the 7. So it's 7 and 4/9. Now, if you don't want to do this way and you want to stack them, you could do that. You could take 7 and 7/9 minus 3/9. You could do that way. And you have 7, take away 3, and that gives us 4. And bring down the 7. 7 and 4/9. So it works either way. All right, next one. Again, we're back to the same situation. Oh, maybe a little different this time. I can see that I'm going to have to borrow, because see, you have 2/5 and 4/5. And you got to go this direction. That's not too good. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. I'm going to write this as 10 and 2/5, 6 and 4/5. And what I'm doing is, there's more negative. My answer is going to be negative. There's more of them, -10, +6. So I'm just going to go ahead and subtract, though. 10 take away 6, I have to subtract that, but my answer is going to be negative. So I need to do that now. I'm going to be subtracting. Well, look, the common denominator is fine, 5 and 5. However, I cannot do 2. You see this 2 right here? 2 minus 4, it doesn't work. I'm going to have to borrow. So my common denominator is 5. So let's see here. I am going to have to borrow a 1. So now this is 9, and I'm borrowing 1. Okay, if I do that, 5 times 1 plus 2, just 5 and 2 is 7. 7/5. I added 5/5. So now now I can just take 7 minus 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. And now I can take 9 minus 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. So your answer is -3 and 3/5. Okay, our next problem has a lot of denominators. Oops, excuse me. And we have to figure out the common one. So looking at it, let's see, I have a 6, a 3, a 6. Okay. So 6 is a common denominator. And we're just adding them. So, you know what, I'm just going to, just because I have a habit of this, that's 1 6. This one right here, 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. All right, over here, same thing. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. Right here, it's just the same number, right? 6 times 1, 1 times 1. There you go. So we have to figure out how many 6s we have. And you could do it faster, easier ways if you're good at it. So I'll just add them all up. Let's see, I have a 1, 4, 2, and a 1. So that makes 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 6. Hey, wait a minute, that can be reduced. I know that 2 goes into both of these. That's 4 thirds. And I know that can be reduced. Excuse me for a moment. I know that can be reduced because 3 will go into 4 one time with 1 left over. 3 times 1 plus 1. That makes 4 thirds. Okay, so I have 1 and 1/3. The fraction's all added to that. And now, that's not my answer though. I still have these whole numbers. I still have 4, 2, and 3. 4 and 2 is 6, 7, 8, 9. And wait, you got one more over here though. Okay, so this is 9. So you have 9 and 1 and 1/3. So the answer is 10 and 1/3. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you.